I want you to take a second and actually picture something with me.
Okay, I'm with you.
Imagine the smell of, like, warm, clean laundry that you've just pulled right out of the dryer.
Oh, that is the best smell.
Right. Or, maybe it's the smell of the very first heavy rain hitting dry soil after a really long, blistering summer. Or maybe it's just the steam rising off a very specific, familiar cup of black tea.
Yeah.
Or even the incredibly precise scent of your old childhood bedroom.
Yeah, that one hits hard.
It really does. Because when you catch a whiff of one of those things, it doesn't just trigger a vague memory, right? It physically transports your entire body back to that exact moment in time.
Absolutely. It is a complete physiological takeover.
Yeah.
I mean, it's instantaneous. And the fascinating part is that it happens before your prefrontal cortex has even had a chance to consciously identify what it is you're smelling.
You literally react before you think.
Exactly. You react before you think.
And that biological override is exactly what we are exploring today. So welcome to this deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We have this incredibly dense, genuinely fascinating set of notes and research provided by you, our listener. And our mission today is to explore the science of what neurobiologists call scent anchors.
Yeah, it's such a cool concept.
It really is. We're going to unpack how smell functions as this quiet, unfiltered language of human emotion. But more importantly, we're going to look at the exact mechanics of how you can build a highly actionable toolkit to use scent as a psychological anchor.
Right, a way to instantly ground your nervous system when the world around you gets, far too chaotic.
Exactly. But before we get into the weeds, we should probably set some parameters.
Yeah, definitely. To set the parameters right up front, this deep dive is absolutely not about expensive perfumes.
Thank goodness, because I know nothing about that.
Right. We aren't analyzing beauty trends or luxury fragrance houses or aromatherapy marketing. What we're really looking at here is utilizing your own neurobiology.
I love that. So it's more of a biological hack.
Exactly. We are trying to engineer a biological shortcut back to baseline peace, back to cognitive clarity and emotional comfort by leveraging an anatomical loophole in how the human brain processes sensory data.
Okay, I want to dig right into that anatomical loophole because before we can start engineering these anchors for ourselves, we have to understand the underlying mechanism.
Right, the why.
Yeah. Why does a specific scent succeed at pulling us out of a panic spiral when, say, cognitive behavioral therapy or logic or deep breathing exercises completely fail us?
Well, it fundamentally comes down to the architecture of the human brain, specifically the routing pathways of our sensory inputs.
Okay.
Consider how we process sight and sound. When you see a stressor or when you hear a loud noise, that sensory data travels first to a part of the brain called the thalamus.
The thalamus, got it.
Right, and the thalamus is basically an analytical checkpoint. It has to receive the data, translate it, analyze what it means, and then determine which part of the brain actually needs to deal with it.
So it's a highly logical router. I usually hear the thalamus compared to a security guard or a bouncer.
Yeah, that's a common one.
But that almost feels too simple. It's more like a dial-up modem.
Right, a dial-up modem. I like that.
Yeah, because visual and auditory data is like this complex code that has to be downloaded, translated into a readable format, and then filed by a clerk before any physical action is authorized. It takes time.
That is a much more accurate way to look at it. There's a processing delay. But the olfactory system, your sense of smell, completely bypasses the thalamus.
Wait, it just skips it entirely?
Completely skips it. It does not go through the dial-up modem. The olfactory bulb is wired directly into the limbic system.
And the limbic system is the emotional headquarters, right?
Exactly. It's the emotional and associative memory headquarters of your brain. So a scent hits the amygdala, which processes emotional responses, and the hippocampus, which stores associative memory.
Directly,
instantaneously, and without any analytical filtering whatsoever.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. It's like scent has a VIP backstage pass to our brain, while sight and sound are stuck waiting in line at the security checkpoint out front.
That is exactly what's happening, the VIP fast pass. And that direct hit causes what researchers call the Proust phenomenon.
The Proust phenomenon, that's that powerful, immediate emotional recall we were talking about earlier, right?
Yes. But wait, I get how scent bypasses the analytical router, but how does the brain differentiate between a memory and a real-time emotion?
That's a great question.
Why does a smell from 20 years ago make me feel a physical emotion today?
Right, because the limbic system doesn't necessarily track linear time the way your logical brain does.
Oh, wow. So to the limbic system, it's happening right now.
Exactly. When the amygdala receives that direct hit from the olfactory bulb, It triggers what the literature calls an olfactomotor response.
Let's unpack the mechanism there. How does a smell physically force a muscle to react?
Well, it's largely driven by the vagus nerve.
Okay, the vagus nerve.
Yeah, which runs from your brainstem down through your chest and into your abdomen. When a familiar, comforting scent hits the amygdala fires a signal straight down the vagus nerve.
And that causes a physical reaction.
Yes, it physically forces your diaphragm to expand. It signals your heart rate to slow down. Your body physically reacts, your shoulders drop, your breathing deepens before your conscious mind even registers, oh, I'm smelling lavender.
That is wild.
It instantly shifts your nervous system from fight or flight into rest and digest.
Hold on, I want to push back on this a little bit.
For it.
Because scent bypasses the logic center. Does that mean we literally cannot outthink a powerful smell?
Pretty much.
Like, is cognitive behavioral therapy biologically useless if I'm sitting in an environment that smells deeply stressful?
You practically cannot outthink your olfactory system.
Really?
Yeah. If a scent signals an environmental threat to your limbic system, your body is going to prepare for a threat, regardless of how aggressively you try to reframe your anxious thoughts.
The biological hardware overrides the software.
Exactly. But the reverse is the core of our toolkit today. If a scent signals profound safety to your limbic system, your body will downregulate and calm down.
Even if your logical brain is like screaming about an impending deadline.
Even then.
Wow. Which brings us to a fairly intimidating realization.
Yeah, it does.
Because if scent has this hardwired analog tripwire connected directly to our body's emergency response system, we have to be incredibly careful about the specific scents we are exposing ourselves to daily.
We do. We are mostly blind to our olfactory environment. And the research in your notes categorizes the scents we encounter into 3 distinct biological roles.
Okay, 3 roles. What's the first one?
The first role is the regulating scent. This is the hero. This is what we're trying to harness.
Regulating scents?
Yeah, regulating scents are mild, highly familiar smells. Light tea, clean cotton, soft natural wood.
So nothing overwhelming.
Right. They foster genuine physiological safety. They don't demand attention from the senses.
They just quietly signal to the nervous system that the environment is secure.
Exactly, which allows cortisol levels to drop.
Okay, so if a regulating scent quietly lowers cortisol, what are the other 2 roles doing?
Well, the second role is the masking scent.
Masking scent, like covering something up.
Yeah, these are the heavy, intensely strong perfumes or synthetic colognes that people typically use to cover up the fact they're exhausted or anxious.
Oh, guilty as charged.
Right. They act as a temporary psychological shield. They might fool the brain briefly, giving a quick spike of dopamine or confidence, but they do not teach the nervous system true parasympathetic calm.
So they are essentially a distraction tactic.
Exactly. I have to admit, I've definitely oversprayed a strong cologne just to feel put together and confident on a stressful day.
I think we all have.
But it sounds like I was just putting on heavy armor.
That's a brilliant distinction. You were putting on armor, which is a masking scent, rather than actually calming your nervous system down with a regulating scent.
Because armor prepares you for battle. It inherently keeps you in a sympathetic state.
Right. And if that armor is too heavy, if that cologne is too strong, we cross into the third category.
Which is?
Agitating scents.
Agitating.
Yes. These are scents that are either intrinsically tied to a bad memory, or they are simply far too concentrated.
The sources highlight a specific scientific rule here that I found fascinating. The rule is intensity overrules intent.
Intensity overrules intent. It's a vital rule.
Yeah, you could be wearing a fragrance engineered by the greatest perfumer in the world.
But if the concentration in the air is too high?
The brain's primitive alarm system doesn't care about the brand name. It interprets that sheer intensity as a chemical hazard.
Your amygdala literally processes it as there is a high volume of a foreign, unbreathable substance in my immediate environment. I am not safe.
Wow. And that spikes your stress hormones, restricts your breathing, and causes physical tension or headaches.
So by trying too hard to mask our stress with strong scents, we are actively inducing a state of low-grade physiological panic in our own bodies.
We are. It completely reorients how we should curate our spaces.
Yeah, it's not just about smelling good anymore.
Right. The question isn't, does my office smell good? The biological question is the ambient scent in this room regulating my nervous system, masking my exhaustion, or actively agitating my amygdala?
That is a completely different way to look at it.
Let's pivot from the problem to the engineering of the solution. Because Knowing that masking and agitating scents work against us is one thing.
But how do we actively utilize regulating scents?
Exactly. The notes provided by our listener outline the construction of a highly specific 3-part toolkit, an olfactory anchor kit.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the overarching goal of the anchor kit is to stop leaving your sensory environment to chance.
Right, we want to be deliberate. The framework uses 3 separate anchors to address 3 entirely different neurological needs: calm, clear, and comfort.
Let's break down the mechanics of each. So the first is anchor A, which is calm. I imagine this is our pure downregulator.
Yes, anchor A is engineered specifically for racing thoughts, sympathetic spikes, or winding down your system pre-sleep.
So the biological job of this scent is to lower cortisol and adrenaline.
Therefore, the scent profile must be extremely mild and non-stimulating. A very light lavender, chamomile, or an unscented oat lotion.
It should be almost imperceptible after a few minutes.
Exactly. So if lavender physically lowers cortisol to create calm, how do we handle the exact opposite problem?
What do you mean?
What about when the listener isn't panicked or stressed, but they are experiencing intense brain fog?
Ah, I see. They need to snap their prefrontal cortex back online without reaching for a third cup of coffee.
Exactly. That is precisely what anchor B is for. Clear.
Clear. Got it.
The clear anchor is for organizing thought, initiating deep work, or making sharp decisions.
So what kind of scent does that?
To stimulate cognitive clarity without triggering a sympathetic adrenaline spike, you need scents that are clean, airy, and entirely non-sweet. Peppermint, eucalyptus, or sharp citrus.
Because these scents act as mild neural stimulants.
Right. They cut through the mental fog without the caffeine jitters. Which brings us to anchor C, comfort.
Comfort. This feels less about productivity or sleep and more about emotional triage.
Triage is a great word for it. Comfort is your emotional safety net. You deploy this anchor when you are feeling isolated, emotionally destabilized, or just utterly overwhelmed by the friction of daily life.
So what's the neural pathway we are targeting here?
It's associated with warmth, shelter, and security. Vanilla, cedarwood, amber, or the smell of baking bread.
It's the scent that physically mimics the sensation of a heavy blanket.
Yes, it tells the limbic system you are home.
I love that. So we have calm for racing thoughts, clear for mental fog, and comfort for emotional instability.
But our listeners' notes put a massive bolded warning label on this toolkit: the golden rule.
Oh, what is it?
You must absolutely avoid cross-contamination. 1 scent equals 1 job.
Wait, really? Why is that rule so rigid?
Because if you mix the signals, you entirely destroy the biological anchor.
But what if I just find one scent I absolutely love, let's say vanilla, and I decide to use it for everything?
You can't.
Like, I burn a vanilla candle while I'm doing stressful taxes, I wear vanilla lotion to go to sleep, and I smell it when I'm relaxing on a Sunday. Why doesn't that work?
It comes back to the associative memory loop in the hippocampus.
Okay, break that down for me.
If you smell vanilla while you are frantically crunching numbers to meet a terrifying tax deadline, your brain intimately wires the smell of vanilla to the feeling of panic.
Oh no.
Right. If you then try to smell that exact same vanilla to fall asleep that night, the hippocampus is going to immediately retrieve the memory of the stressful deadline.
The scent is corrupted.
Exactly. You've confused your brain. That makes total sense when you think about the realities of working from home.
Oh yeah. So many people have their kitchen table acting as their office, their dining room, and their stress center.
If you were smelling the exact same coffee brewing during a miserable Zoom call on Tuesday, and then trying to enjoy that same coffee on a relaxing Saturday morning, your brain doesn't know which state it's supposed to be in.
That is a perfect real-world example. The psychological boundaries are blurred.
By strictly assigning 1 scent to 1 highly specific state of mind, you are carving a dedicated, unambiguous neural pathway. The brain needs a clear directive. 1 scent, 1 physiological job.
This raises a really practical hurdle, though.
What's that?
You can't just log online and buy a standardized clarity anchor that works universally for everyone.
Because my brain's definition of a comforting going home scent might be cedarwood, but yours might be the smell of old library books, or a very specific brand of 1990s laundry detergent.
Exactly. You have to find your personal scent signature. And the notes make a vital distinction here that redefines how we usually think about fragrance.
What is it?
A scent signature in this context is not a perfume you wear so that other people remember you.
So it's not a brand.
No, it is the sensory language your own nervous system requires at this exact phase of your life.
So a scent signature isn't about making sure other people recognize me when I walk into a room. It's a tool, so my own brain recognizes where it's supposed to be.
Exactly. It's an internal compass, not an external billboard.
So how do we actually find it? The framework suggests asking 3 diagnostic questions.
Okay, let's walk through them. First, what does my baseline life need right now? Are you lacking calm, clarity, or comfort?
You have to audit your daily life.
Right, and the key here is not to attempt building all 3 anchors simultaneously if you are just starting out. Pick the single state of being you are starving for the most.
Okay, let's say I desperately need calm. I move to the second question. What scent makes me feel less tension rather than more?
And this ties right back to our discussion on masking scents. We aren't looking for a loud, impressive fragrance.
Precisely. You're looking for a scent that causes your shoulders to physically drop the moment you encounter it. A scent that asks absolutely nothing of your cognitive load.
And the third question introduces a psychological technique called verbal anchoring.
Verbal anchoring. The question is, if this scent spoke one sentence to you, what would it be?
So we're literally tying a specific comforting phrase to the smell.
Yes. What is the biological mechanism behind tying a phrase to a smell?
It leverages Hebbian learning, the neuroscientific principle that neurons that fire together wire together.
Right.
You are explicitly tying a cognitive verbal label to a physical olfactory sensation. When the scent triggers the vagus nerve to relax your body, the verbal phrase acts as the conscious instruction manual.
So when you smell your calm anchor, the sentence you mentally repeat might be, "Don't rush."
Or for comfort, it might be, "Come back to yourself."
For Claire, one thing at a time.
You are bridging the gap between the conscious and subconscious brain.
Okay, so knowing your scent's internal sentence is great in theory, but we need to actively program this into our daily routine to make the anchor stick.
Right. How do we move from an abstract concept to a biological reflex?
The sources outline a rigorous, highly practical action plan. It begins with the 24 to 48 hour protocol.
Okay, 48 hours.
The objective here is just to lay the foundation for your primary anchor.
Right.
You select your desired state, let's stick with calm. You select your mild scent, perhaps it's an unscented oat lotion with a drop of chamomile. Then crucially, you intentionally expose yourself to the scent only while you are already experiencing that state.
Meaning you absolutely do not wait until you are having a full-blown panic attack to try it out for the first time.
That is the most common mistake. If you try to introduce a new calming scent while you are in the middle of a panic attack, your brain will associate the scent with the panic, not the calm.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
You must apply the scent when you are naturally winding down, say, reading a book in bed. As you smell it, you actively monitor your physical reaction. Is your breathing slowing?
And then you mentally assert your verbal anchor, rest tonight.
Exactly. If you do this intentionally and exclusively during moments of calm over a 48-hour window, the hippocampus begins locking in that specific association.
And once you have established that primary anchor, the notes outline a 7-day scent reset to methodically build out the rest of the toolkit.
How does the 7-day reset work?
It relies on strict compartmentalization. It only takes about 3 to 10 minutes a day. Days 1 and 2, you solely focus on reinforcing your calm anchor during restful periods.
Okay.
Days 3 and 4, you switch entirely to building your clear anchor, perhaps right before a deep focus work session. Days 5 and 6, you build your comfort anchor during a moment of relaxation.
And day 7?
Day 7 is an integration and review day, testing how rapidly your body now responds to each distinct trigger.
And the mechanism to accelerate this entire learning process is habit stacking.
Piggybacking the new anchor onto an existing routine.
Yes, because the basal ganglia in your brain has already hardwired your daily habits. It's highly efficient. If you tie the new sensory input to an existing automated behavior, the brain adopts it much faster.
Like what?
For example, if you want to solidify your clear anchor, you might take 3 deep breaths of your peppermint scent immediately after you brush your teeth every single morning.
Oh, that's clever. The existing habit of brushing your teeth becomes the trigger.
And the inhalation of the scent becomes the automated neurological action.
So what does this all mean for someone who's just completely overwhelmed right now?
Yeah, if a listener is feeling completely overwhelmed by information overload, their inbox is overflowing, their phone won't stop buzzing, which of the 3 anchors, calm, clear, or comfort, should they prioritize building today?
It is incredibly tempting to reach for clear in that scenario.
Right. Hoping a peppermint scent will magically help you power through the endless inbox.
But biologically, if you are truly overwhelmed and fried, your nervous system is trapped in sympathetic overdrive. You cannot optimize a system that is currently on fire.
So you have to put out the fire first.
Exactly. You must prioritize the calm anchor first. You have to lower the baseline levels of cortisol and adrenaline before your prefrontal cortex can actually process information efficiently.
Build the calm anchor. Teach your biology how to step away from the ledge.
The cognitive clarity will naturally follow once the systemic threat response is turned off.
That is a phenomenal way to frame it. You cannot organize a burning building.
No, you cannot. That really synthesizes the core value of these notes. We live in a culture that believes we can outthink our stress.
We really do.
But when the logical brain is overwhelmed by stress, a simple, intentional scent can bypass all that noisy cognitive traffic. It slips right past the thalamus, goes straight to the emotional core, and tells the nervous system, you are safe here, you don't need to rush.
This is the ultimate biological emergency brake.
It really is.
But before we wrap up today's deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final, slightly provocative thought to mull over.
Oh, I'm ready.
We have spent this entire time discussing how to intentionally engineer positive scent anchors to regulate our bodies. But I want you to look around your daily environment right now. What unintentional negative agitation anchors have you unknowingly set up in your life?
Oh, wow. That is the unseen consequence of olfactory blindness.
Think about it. Does the lingering smell of your office coffee maker, or perhaps a very specific, harsh industrial cleaning spray used in your apartment building, instantly trigger a spike of background anxiety?
Simply because of the stressful memories your brain associates it with.
Exactly. Are you being quietly, biologically agitated all day long without even realizing it?
And more importantly, how might simply opening a window or changing the passive smells in your workspace completely rewire your baseline stress levels by tomorrow morning?
It is astonishing to realize just how much invisible chemical influence our daily environment holds over our mental health.
It truly is. It's a game changer once you see it. Or, we'll smell it.
Exactly. Thank you so much to our listener for sharing these incredible notes and research with us. It offers a profoundly different lens through which to navigate our modern friction.
It's been an amazing discussion.
I highly encourage you to go out and discover that first comforting scent today. Ask yourself what your baseline life needs right now and find the scent that speaks exactly that sentence.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Go find that smell of warm, clean laundry or that first heavy rain. Take a slow, deliberate breath, and we will catch you next time.